He was asking about the pollution in Ganga, which usually we try to keep the satsang more for people's individual spiritual paths than for issues of government. But as this is something really that involves all of the individuals, involves all of us, it's important because our environment, whether it's our rivers, whether it's our mountains, whether it's our trees, whether it's our soil or our air, it's not just about what are others doing. The time now is to ask, what can I do? That's what our world now needs. Because tragically, whether you look at Ganga, whether you look at Yamuna, whether you look at the air, whether you look at the soil, whether you look at climate change, it's our problem. It's a problem, sadly, and again, yeah, it manifests in different ways in different places, but it's a problem that our lack of understanding, our lack of care, our greed, our separation between others with whom we share the planet. If we had to drink the water into which we dump our trash, nobody would do it. I mean, nobody's going to dump their trash into their own house as well. Or if you've got a water tank on your roof that brings you the water from your tap, nobody's going to take their household trash and go up to the roof and dump it in their own water tank. Nobody's going to run a sewage line from their toilet up to their own water tank on the rooftop or into their own faucet. I mean, inconceivable. Doesn't matter if you cannot figure out what to do with your sewage. No one would say, I know what to do. Let's run it right through so it comes out of my shower, so it comes out of my kitchen sink. Because we understand I would get sick. But the problem is that we are so separate from those who are going to get sick downriver that we feel okay doing it. If we really had an awareness that it is I who will be sick, it is my family who will be sick, it is our drinking water I am polluting, no one would do it. And this is where, from a spiritual perspective, the work happens. I mean, here at Paramarth Nikethan, one of the things that to me is so special and unique here is the blend, the bridge between logistic and infrastructure and spiritual. So yeah, we go out there with big groups and take them, as you were part during our spiritual retreat, to actually clean up the banks of Ganga. Yes, we're working with government. Yes, we're preparing white papers for the government. Yes, we're working with all kinds of scientists and experts and doing all of that. And yes, we are deeply, deeply committed to opening people spiritually, or to helping people open up spiritually, because all of this science and infrastructure and conferences and inventions and innovation are only required because people aren't waking up, are only required because we continue to live in separation. Separation from our natural world, from the fact that nature actually is alive, and separation from those with whom we share the natural world. And so there's a lot of initiatives on both levels. But what's crucial is, until and unless every one of you is part of that initiative, it's not someone else's problem, it's not someone else's job. Whether it's climate change, whether it's Ganga, whether it's the toxicity of our soil, it's every single one of our problems. Doesn't mean every one of us is personally responsible for it. But because it's our home, I mean, in your house, let's imagine you invite a friend over and friend sits down on your white couch and you go lovingly into the kitchen and you make, personally, by your own hands, you make your friend a cup of hot tea or a cup of hot coffee. And you give it to them. And then they spill it on your couch. Okay? And then after spilling it on your couch, they have the audacity to actually get up and walk out of your house. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm sorry? You feel badly. Yeah, absolutely. That's how you feel. But what are you going to do? Clean your couch. Yes, exactly. Anybody not going to clean their couch? Anybody going to wait for the friend to come back and clean up their mess? Anybody going to leave the stain there and put up a sign that says, stain left by such and such? Find her, hunt her down, make her come and clean up her mess? Anybody going to go stand outside her house with a picket sign that says, come back and clean up your mess? You're going to walk in the kitchen. You're going to get a sponge. You're going to clean it up because not because we're such great people, but because we understand intuitively it's my couch. It's my couch. I've got to live with it. It's in my house. It's my living room. If I leave the stain on the couch, it's going to smell. It's going to fester. It's going to get, bugs. I'm going to have to sit on that couch that stinks. And so because we understand it's our couch, our living room, we clean it up. If you were at the movies with your friend and she spilled a cup of tea or coffee on her seat at the movies, you might not necessarily take the responsibility of going into the bathroom and getting the sponge and clean it up because you'd think, cello, the cleaning people are going to come in and do it. Right? So that's the distinction. When it's something I identify as mine, when I understand my life is going to be impacted by not cleaning it, I have to live with a smelly couch. I have to live with this big brown stain on a white couch. I'm going to have to live with the ants and the flies and whatnot. We clean it. If it's just the movie theater's couch, I'm not going to do it. Or I might not do it. And this is why it's all of our problem. Because we all live here. Whoever did it it's irrelevant now. It's been done. Question now is, do you want clean air to breathe? Or do you want to stand outside some government official's house with a picket sign? Do you want clean water? Or do you want to hang up a sign that says it's these guys' fault? Yeah, it would be great if people who made the mess cleaned it up. It would be fantastic. But because they don't, then the question for us becomes we only have two choices. Either we take the responsibility simply because we have to live here. Simply because our children, our grandchildren, those by our blood and those of our world community have to live here. Or we stand around and we put up signs and we hold up picket signs and we, blame those who made the mess. So this is why I say it's not going to work until everyone understands. This is my couch. Whatever I can do, I've got to do it. And, whether it's Ganga, whether it's the entire environment, there actually are things that all of us can do. Every one of us. We may not be able to change the face of industry, but we certainly have power over what we buy. And these days, there's lots of ways to know. Lots of ways to find out which industries, which companies are polluting how much, who engages child labor, who has women in sweatshops, who gives fair wages, who doesn't, who pollutes the earth, who doesn't. There's all kind of indexes that you can find. I mean, I've been in India 21 years, and long before I came to India, so going back 25, 30 years, PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, was already producing a booklet. I mean, I remember being a teenager and having a booklet in which I could look at the supermarket of which brand of shampoo was exploiting people in various parts of the world, which brand of shampoo was testing itself on rabbits' eyes and which one wasn't. So in 30 years, and that was long before the internet. I mean, it was certainly long before Google. It was long before smartphones with apps. We know these days. We just have to be prepared to be conscious. And the problem is because we are so distracted these days. We're so distracted. Digitally, social media-wise, I mean, all of the stuff that's just constantly beeping and buzzing and dinging and pinging, and, you know, it's so hard to actually stay focused on anything that we've lost any semblance of mindfulness. So when we go to the store, we just sort of on autopilot grab a bottle of shampoo, whether it's because it's the same one we've used for 30 years, whether it's because we saw that commercial today, whether it's because the person on the bottle looks really beautiful and looks like someone we'd like to look like, whatever it is, whether it's because it's the cheapest. We make decisions based on things that have nothing to do with actually what matters. And the truth is, everything we buy, from our shampoo to our clothing, to where the cotton or the wool or the silk or the leather that we wear comes from, where the synthetics are produced, everything we buy has an impact on the world. And so the question that every one of us needs to ask ourselves is, am I prepared to bring that mindfulness in? It's very easy on social media to share things that say, you know, Ganga should be clean and climate change should end and this should be over and this should be better. It's a little bit more work, just attention work, not sweaty work, to actually be mindful about what I'm buying, what I'm eating, what I'm wearing. I mean, one very just quick example, you mentioned Ganga. Well, all right. So the single greatest polluter of Ganga are the industries. The single greatest industry that pollutes Ganga is the tanneries. Well, tanneries produce leather. If we did a poll of all the people who like and share things about clean Ganga, all the people who go to, you know, rallies about how clean Ganga should be, and we poll how many people have leather car seats, how many people wear leather shoes, how many people have leather handbags, how many people have leather belts. Well, with our rupees, we are literally voting for, supporting, putting money in the pockets of the very people who are creating a situation that we're turning around and saying, this should be different. But it's a lot easier to like and share something on Facebook than it is to actually give up my leather car seats or mindfully shop so that I can buy a handbag that suits my needs that's not leather. Ensure that the shoes I'm wearing are not leather. Take the extra minute and a half to look around for a pair that's not leather. And that's what's required. And that's why we're so committed to working on both levels, the spiritual level, because that's what awakens people's consciousness. And until that's all awake, then the logistic level.